So I remember coming into the industry, and I'm just going to say the name because they've been gone so long. I don't think it matters, but I have a lot of respect for the owner. But I came into the industry with the name McAfee Heating and Air, and there was another company named McKelvey Heating and Air, and I had a lot of respect at the time for the owner. He ran a pretty good sized business. You know, I had me, and it ended up a lot of times people would think he was my dad. He had the same haircut as mine, and a lot of times I'd go on an estimate, and they said, "Well, your dad put this in," and I'd always say, "Well, how did he do?" And he goes, "Oh, they did great. We want you to do ours. You know, this one." So I actually got some work from Mr. McKelvey, but poor Mr. McKelvey just did not run a tight ship, and worked all his life, built a business, and had to basically, wasn't even worth selling. It was auctioned off. And Mr. McKelvey went to work for a local HVAC supply house. And I would go in there and I would often think, this guy poured his life into a heating and air company to end with working at a supply house. Another quick story, a company started a year before me. He had a lot of knowledge in HVAC, much more knowledge than I did. And he started hiring people. You know, he probably got up to 5 by the time I had 2 or 3. And then I started gradually taking off. His heart just wasn't in the same place mine was. He would go on hunting trips. He actually called me once and said, "Hey, can you cover my business for a week while I go hunting?" And I did, but even at the time, I thought, are you kidding me? You know, this is your business. This is your baby, and you're leaving it with a competitor to take care of your customers. And long story short, he got with me, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years ago, and he was desperate, and he didn't have any employees. I think he had a couple subcontractors, and he just needed $100,000 out of his business. And I thought, he worked for 27 or 28 years to try to get $100,000 out of his business, and it wasn't even worth that. I couldn't even come up with the reason why I would give him $100,000, because his customer base wasn't strong. He had one truck, and it was just extremely sad to me. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You see, 80% of owners, small business owners, cannot sell their business. And it's not because they're not good at what they did. And it's not because the owner didn't work hard enough. I mean, it could be a little bit of that, but it's because the business simply wasn't built to sell. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. Hey, welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurialism, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. So 80% of small business owners will never sell their business because it was never built to sell. Here's some harsh reality. It's not what some of you want to hear. It's just what you need to hear. And if anything, as you know, I'm very serious during these podcasts. Every once in a while, I'll have a good joke or some fun, but I'm just serious because I feel my calling on this podcast is to help you think differently. So if I can help 1 or 2 or 3 of you clean up your act before you actually sell or attempt to sell, to retire or refire like I did, if I can help you do that, if I can make your business worth something, then I did my job. Okay? So that's what this is all about. And if you're tuning out right now, you're going to miss out on some really good information, whether you're interested in selling right now or selling in 10 years or selling in 20 years. Most small business owners expect a payday in the end, although many are barely making payroll in the middle. They think, I'll sell my business, I'll cash out, and I will ride off into retirement with something new. Only 20 out of 100 can do that. 80% never sell, and most of the ones that do sell for peanuts. They just let it go. Like that $100,000. I mean, honestly, folks, your company should be doing so well that you can take $100,000 out at any time. And I'm not talking about new startups. New startups is totally different. I've been there, done that. I wish I had $100,000 at one time. I'm talking about those that have been in business for a while. If you can't pull $100,000 out for a draw of your business, something's majorly wrong. Selling a business is not like selling a house, and it's not like selling a car. Buyers look deeper. Now, I've bought and sold cars before for a while. When I was getting McAfee Heating and Air started up, I lived in a location that was really high traffic, and I would buy a car. I don't care. A lot of times it was a $500 car back then, and I'd sell it for $800. Or I bought a $3,000 car and I'd sell it for $4,000. Or I bought a 1978 Corvette for $7,000 and I sold it for $9,500 in 2 days. So it was pretty cool. I did a lot of that. Now I've had buyers come by and pick the car apart. And I basically said, it doesn't sound like it's for you because I don't have time to be picked apart. Someone else is going to buy it. But after selling McAfee, I have never went through such due diligence in my life. There's nothing like it. When you get a reputable company or a reputable group buying your business and they're spending millions, you better believe they're going to dissect it and pull it apart, pick it apart, and see exactly what it's worth before they stroke a check or wire funds. So let's break down 5 reasons why 80% of owners cannot sell their business. Number 1 is the key here in heating and air, because I've been coaching for about 16 or 17 years. The business relies too much on the owner. The business relies too much on the owner. Owners take every call, make every decision. They're the top salesperson, the problem solver, the firefighter. No solid buyer wants to buy another owner. They want to buy a profitable business that runs without the owner. If you remove yourself and the business collapses, you don't have a business. You have a job with overhead, and basically you're running an adult daycare sometimes. Number 2, there are little to no systems in place. I'm talking about checklists. I'm talking about processes. I'm talking about standard operating procedures of your company. I'm talking about business plans. I'm talking about I'm even talking about culture. I'm talking about how you do business. And what are your expectations for your employees? And what kind of operation do you run? I mean, I'm talking about this tight ship that I ran. It got to a point where I could have just stepped out and the business would still go strong. That's why McDonald's, with some of the best systems in place in the world, And many, 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 many companies have copied off them. That's why McDonald's can hire a teenager to run a $2 million store, because systems run the show. Okay? Systems equals predictability, training, and scalability. And number 3, revenue is too unpredictable. That's why 80% of owners cannot sell their business. There's peaks and valleys that scare buyers. There's no maintenance plans. There's no reoccurring revenue. There's no marketing consistency. I've coached guys that have been in business 20, 30 years, and they hired me to, some of them have flat out said, I need your help so I can pass this on to my child and they have a profitable business. And I want to say, you've run it for 20 or 30 years the wrong way, and now you expect me to fix it. But I do my best. But it's hard, because I'll ask, do you have any maintenance agreements? Do you have any reoccurring revenue? No, I don't believe in those. Okay, well, you need to start believing in those, because those are what makes your business profitable. A steady income coming in every single month or every single year, however you do it. I like month. I like monthly. There were monthly deposits in 3 or 4 different times at McAfee that would just come in big chunks. We didn't have to do anything. They just came in. When I first started doing maintenance agreements, my goal was to do enough in maintenance agreements to make payroll every month. And it surpassed that, of course, for us. But that's what I wanted. I wanted just think about that. If you just had enough income coming in every month to make payroll, that was it's a small goal, but it's a huge goal. Okay. Remember, if your goal is not impossible, it's not big enough. So they have, why do 80% of owners, why can't they sell their company? Well, they have no marketing consistency. They don't know how to advertise. They've never taken a class on advertising. They've never taken a class on branding. They've never taken a class on marketing, and they've never read a book about it. They just think they can put a little ad on the menu down at Sarah's Diner, and they're just going to get business. And that's just not how it works today, folks. And or I've got a website. Well, your website's really outdated, so no one's really going to it. Nothing's calling them to go to it, so why would they go to it? And if your revenue looks like a heart rate monitor, buyers will pass in a heartbeat. And number 4, financials are a wreck. Your financials are not in order. I think I've told you folks before that I was blessed. My sister-in-law, when I started McAfee Heating and Air, my sister-in-law was a bookkeeper, full-time bookkeeper in accounting forever, and she set me up from day one on bookkeeping, got my books in order from day one. And then she stayed with me so long until it got more than a part-time job. And then I got into a CPA, and then I got into a CPA firm, and then I got into a CPA firm along with an accounting department in my company and all those types of things. A profit and loss statement has to be accurate. If it's not accurate, they're not going to go any further than that. I mean, they're done. Basically, they're done. There's no trust here. What are we buying? And there's no clean EBITDA. It is a mess. It's just a mess. Owners running and mixing personal expenses through the business, that's a mess. My advice has been for several companies that have called me and contacted me about selling now that I've sold. First thing I do is make sure you clean it up, get everything out of personal, get it out of the company, get it off the books, get it in your name. I don't care if it's a car, truck, backhoe. I don't care what it is. Just get it out of the company name if it's yours. And I don't care if the company paid for it. I don't want you to do anything illegal, but some of you guys have been sitting on some, you got a 10-year-old truck that's in the company's name, but it's your truck. And if you want to let it go with the company, then let it go with the company. But if you don't, get it out of the company name way before you sell. And it's buyers want transparency. If they have to play detective, they're going to walk away. It's just that simple. Number 5, there's nothing to buy. And I don't say that. I don't want to have to say that, but unfortunately, I have to say that. If all you have is an unorganized customer list and a couple old trucks, you don't have a business. I'm going to say that again. You have an expensive chaos is what you have. And I like to say an adult daycare. For those who have employees, it's just an adult daycare, because if their books aren't organized and everything I've went over here, their employees aren't organized. There's probably no structure. There's probably no organization of what time to come in and do this, and this, and make sure you're at a job promptly at 8 o'clock like we did. I don't care if you have to sit out front of the house for 10 minutes. You don't go to the house until a minute till 8. There's reasons for that. If you want to know more about that, call me. But it's just very important. So there's also no brand. There's no structure. There's no value. Here's what buyers want. Buyers want a team. They want marketing. They want a company that can run itself without you. Matter of fact, the less you're involved in the sale, the better. I'll tell you that right now. If you're running that whole entire sale, they're looking at you going, you're probably running your entire company, and unless we hire you to stay on, we don't want the company. So they want a solid reputation. You know, we were number 1 in our market for almost 10 years. Solid operations, service plans, culture, brand equity. Now, I've been told I started private labeling in 2003. Was proud of that, to bring in a new name in a market for systems. I had advertised. I carried Bryant for years. I marketed and advertised and branded Bryant so well that people would call and think we were Bryant. And I thought, you know what? If I can market someone else's name and brand someone else's name so well, why don't I just do my own? So a good friend of mine had been private labeling, not full-time, but a second line private label. I didn't want to do that. My name was on it. And, if I would have been, Buddy's Air, then, it could have been a second line. But this was a McAfee system. And when people would ask which is better, that put me in a bind because my name's on it. I don't want to be second. So we started off as a secondary line, but within 6 months, we went 100% McAfee. I just bit the bullet and said, we can do this. Remember, if a goal's not impossible, it's not big enough. And I thought that was impossible for a lot of people. You can't put your name on a brand and sell it. They're going to ask, where's the name? Where's the brand's name? Where's the main name at? And in other words, the national name. Where's that at? Who makes this? All that stuff. No, we did it. We just did it different because I wanted to do it and I knew I could do it. Sure, it was impossible at first. That's why it was a really good goal, but I accomplished it and soon became number 1 and soon became, on many surveys, the number 1 brand over Bryant, over Goodman, and over a few others. The only ones we weren't over were Lennox and Train. And the only reason is because Lennox and Train advertise well. If they wouldn't have, we would have been over them too. But I was proud to be over some national brands, my little McAfee name. But I've been told they're going to do away with that and they're going to go with some other foreign product that I never did agree with at all and never did want for McAfee because I like made in USA products and it mattered to me. It mattered to my customer. So, but it's not my house anymore and they got to do what they want to do. So, show me something I can scale, not something I have to tear down and rebuild. That's what the buyers are saying. I don't care if it's your competitor buying you. They don't want to have to tear it down and rebuild it. They just want to be able to jump in, operate it, scale it with their company or merge with their company, whatever it takes. But it's got to be doable. So something else buyers really want, I'm going to hit this relatively quickly, is a business that runs without the owner, like I've said a few times, a leadership team that are empowered and trained, systemized operations, a system that just rocks. I'm so into that because when I took classes at Aileron, it's an entrepreneurial center, for years. I mean years, and I was a student of Aileron, and it taught me how to put systems in place and run your company without it running you. And then they want predictable revenue streams, and they want a strong culture, and they want clean and honest financials, and they want growth potential. They got to see growth potential. They're not buying your company to remain the same. Like I said, I took it to my cap, my lid. I took it to multi-millions, and that's where I hit my lid right there. And I knew they could take it. Their track record said, let's put it this way. Their track record said they could take it from where I took it to a whole new level. And I hope they do, because if they do, I did my job. Now, if they screw it up and quit doing everything I did, then what they're basically doing and not realizing is they're tearing it down and rebuilding it. And that's really hard to do in a smaller community that has been used to a company for 35 years that helped that company get to number one. Not number 20, not number 80, number one. And so buyers pay multiples for businesses that don't need babying. They don't need babysitting. They don't need a lot of care. They just need good managers to manage it and keep moving. And then someone's got to come in and be the visionary. And that's what I was. I was the visionary. I seen things out. I seen things farther out because I prayed about it. I thought about it. And I learned from extremely smart business savvy people that I can't even explain some of the minds that I learned from business wise. And I was blessed to be able to do so. I built McAfee Heating and Air with systems and a reputation like no other. Branding, training, clean books. You couldn't find a darn thing. Our books balanced to the penny every single month. And that helped me secure a extremely high multiple and an extremely high EBITDA. And put those two together, and you're rocking. It's a business. It's a premium sale because the business was turnkey. Just jump in and take over the controls because it's rocking and it's rolling. And they stuck with their original. This group stuck with their original offer all the way through. And I've been told that a lot of times they find little things inside there that they have to lower their original offer because it just wasn't what it appeared on the outside. My offer stayed solid all the way to the end, even though we had a few weather-generated slow months during that process that concerned me. But again, they saw they couldn't find anything wrong with it. And if I bought a company that I couldn't find anything wrong with it, I'd probably leave it alone and let it keep generating a lot of income. But anyway, what we're doing is, for you guys, is run your business like it's for sale today, even when it's not. If it ever needs to be, you'll be ready and you'll get paid. And I hope you get paid a healthy amount like I did. 80% of owners will never sell their business, but you don't have to be in that 80%. Honestly, guys, when I read that through a very solid organization that did this study, I was sad. I was sad for 80 out of 100 business owners that can't sell their company because they didn't run a company They had a job. It was just their job. It wasn't a company. It was a job. They were fixing heating and air conditioning systems or plumbing or electrical or landscape or lawn care or roofing or home services. It doesn't matter. Start now. Get informed. Build systems. Train leaders. Learn how. Hire a coach. Please. I just talked to someone today. He said, I've got the best coach around. I said, great. You're going to go far. I had a coach from probably year 2 all the way to the end. I had coaches. My coaches kept getting more knowledgeable and better and higher standards. I had a coach that coached Chrysler's president of Chrysler at one time and a VP at GM. I mean, I kept going up higher and higher. The more I drained that sponge, I had to get a bigger sponge, and I just kept going. Coaches help you. They take you to a new level. Remember, they don't have any feelings in it. They're separated from feelings. They're going to tell you what you need to do, not what you want to hear. And so make your business something a buyer wants to fight for. I think I had I went on vacation. We listed this. I went on vacation in Florida, my Florida home, and within I don't know what it was, after my broker did, which I had on here, Fred, I had on a podcast a while back. After they did their due diligence and they listed this business, within 2 days, I had 20 interviews. And I started interviewing while I was in my Florida house. And I knew this group was going to buy me. I mean, at the time we hit it off. And they liked everything they seen. They wanted to be in Dayton, Ohio, because they want to expand their market here. And so make your business something a buyer would fight to own. This is good stuff, folks. I hope you take some of this ammo and run with it and apply it to your company and make your company stronger. If anything, it's going to make you more money right now. I posted something the other day on Facebook. I read the highest paying jobs, and it had all, surgeons and anesthesiologists and all these jobs that paid $250,000, $300,000, $350,000. And I said and it had all the way down to $130,000. So I said, all these jobs are great, but they didn't list an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur at times can make as much as 5 of these combined if they want. I mean, I got to a really good point in my company that it was extremely prosperous. And I was no longer, because for the first 25 years, I reinvested every profit dime back in the company because I wanted the company to grow until it almost became overwhelming. And my good advisor, a financial advisor, said, you need to be taking some money out of that company. So I started taking money out of the company. But if your company's prosperous, you're the owner, you should have money in there to take out when you want, as a draw, not as payroll, as a draw. And so I hope this helps. If you don't prepare for the storm will prepare you, and you won't like that lesson at all. I know I don't. So if you like this, hit that like button. You've listened to it all the way through. That's a good sign, right? And again, we have thousands of listeners, viewers now, which is awesome. And if you have any questions, you can enter it right below there. And as always, carry on. God bless. Make this day the best day of your life, because we're not promised tomorrow. I'll see you next time.